Hey, what's going on guys? Today we are going over some of the worst things and items that have ever been added into Fortnite Battle Royale. Before we begin today's video, comment down your least favorite weapon that is currently in the game. For me, I'm gonna have to say the semi-auto sniper rifle. I mean, honestly, it isn't that bad of a weapon, just in my opinion, I cannot snipe with it. Just the fact that I feel like I have more shots than just one, like how the bolt action and the hunting rifle are, make me way worse with that gun. Also guys, I'm giving away 1000 V-Bucks to a lucky winner. If you want to enter, all what you have to do is leave a like on the video, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and go enter first link in the description below. The winner will be drawn on June 21st. Keep in mind throughout the video that this is entirely opinion based. I went through the Fortnite Discord and asked people what their favorite weapons were and what they hated the most, and this is just a kind of mashup of everything they said. So if you disagree or if you do want something to be added onto possibly a future list, make sure to comment it down below, and let's get right on in to today's video. So to begin, we have to start off with the Jetpack. Now I know a ton of people like the Jetpack, and an absolute ton hated this thing. A couple of months ago, around mid-February-ish, the Jetpack was originally announced in the news menu in Fortnite. When people started seeing this on the menu, a lot of people got a whole ton of hate and they thought that Fortnite was just going to go downhill from there. A few days later, this announcement was taken off and they put the Jetpack on hold and they never actually brought it into the game. But sadly, a few months later in mid-May, the Jetpack was actually released for about 2 to 3 weeks, and a lot of people hated it, and it was actually really common to find. Now what makes me hate the Jetpack the most is that it takes out the whole aspect of building for a ton of players. With building being one of the most important things in Fortnite, the Jetpack totally removed that aspect and made it insanely easy for people to get high ground. The Jetpack was pretty overpowered because it allowed you to fly up 5 to 8 walls high rather than just a regular like quarter of a wall while jumping. Another thing about the Jetpack is that you will not take fall damage. You could literally go up to the sky limit and right before you hit the ground, hit spacebar or whatever button it is for you to jump, and you won't take any fall damage at all. There are ways to counter the Jetpack, like placing a roof over yourself, but that just removes the whole entire aspect of build fighting. I guess people have mixed opinions on it, but in my opinion, I hated this thing. The next worst thing to be added into Fortnite has to be the smoke grenade. Now the smoke grenade was actually pretty tactical in certain situations, but for most of the time, it was completely useless. The smoke grenade was pretty self-explanatory. You throw it down and a big pile of smoke will appear wherever you threw it down and it exploded, and then there will just be smoke in that area that you cannot see through for a good 5 to 10 seconds. While this could be very useful when you're trying to revive a teammate or escape fights, it was really not used overall. Most of the time you would get a smoke grenade and just end up leaving it on the ground because it was just a waste of an inventory space. No one really ever used this thing. Next up on the list, we have the minigun. Now the minigun, this is a mixed topic because some people actually really do like the minigun, but I'm talking about in mid-range and just overall in general. The minigun can be very useful in certain situations, especially in squads when 3 of your teammates are pushing the enemies while you're staying back and just spraying down the bases, but in solos and duos, the minigun isn't really that useful. From the point where you have to hold down the shooting button and that little delay in between when you press it down and the barrel of the minigun starts to spin to shoot, that is a pretty big delay and could even cost you the game sometimes. Also, the spread on the minigun is absolutely insane. You shoot one bullet could go up to the sky, the other one could go down to the floor. You get like 5 out of 10 bullets actually on target. The minigun in PvP is absolutely the worst. It is insanely hard to kill somebody if they are from a pretty decent distance away. Most of the time, people will take the tactical submachine gun over the minigun just because its efficiency in close range fights. The next worst items to be added into Fortnite will have to be the bush. Now I do agree there are some really good sides to the bush and there are also some really negative parts. Now with the bush, I know that it could be an OP hiding spot, but other than that, there really isn't any benefit for having a bush. The bush provides no shield or health benefit to you, and it is basically just a giant distraction. The bush blocks up like half of your screen, and you cannot even see like a lot of players in the corners. The bush also makes you a giant and easy target to see from a distance when you are running around. Now, if you have a bush equipped, you obviously aren't going to run around tilted towers. You're most likely going to want to set up on a hill or somewhere and look like you're a natural bush. Thing is, if someone sees you run and sit somewhere, and if they have a sniper, they could easily one tap you to the head. Most of the time, whenever anybody opens up a chest, hardly anyone ever takes the bush. It is a complete waste of the game. I mean, it could be useful in some situations, but most of the time, no one really wants it. Next up on the list, we have an OG weapon, a weapon that was only in the game for I believe 15 to 20 minutes. This is the Zapper Tron. Now, the Zapper Tron was insanely overpowered, and there is known to be only about one clip on YouTube that actually confirms this, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have actually seen this clip. The Zapper Tron was added into the game in an update, and it was later removed because it just overall did not fit the flow of the game, the developers said. This famous clip of a person from a very long distance away one-tapping a kid doing 150 damage in one shot just proves how overpowered this weapon would have been. The whole idea around the Zapper Tron is that you equipped it and you kind of charge it up similar to the minigun, and when you release, it'll fire a giant electric volt, and when it hits the player, it will deal a ton of damage depending on how long you hold it for. The Zapper Tron, I believe, is in Save the World, so if you do want to try it and you have Save the World, I think you just have to craft it or find it. You will have the chance to shoot this. With the Zapper Tron being added into Fortnite, it was a terrible addition and it made the game feel unrealistic. The Zapper Tron overall did not fit the flow of the game. It was more of like a realistic type of game, like realistic guns. Maybe not building, that's not realistic, but like realistic guns. You don't want to be running around with like laser guns and thunder guns in Fortnite. Next up on the list, we have the tactical pistol. This weapon was vaulted from Fortnite in early January, and it was a basic replica of the tactical submachine gun, just kind of like the little brother of it. This pistol would hold very tiny mags and not do a whole ton of damage. Now, up close, it might be pretty good for PvP or destroying walls, but overall, it wasn't really that used after the tactical submachine gun was added. This pistol did not a ton of damage, and it had very bad accuracy at mid to long range fights. And on top of that, this pistol was found in chests all the time. Now, any OG players who played this game around last Christmas time, this was one of the main things you would find in almost every single chest you would open. Obviously, chests are entirely random, but it seemed like you would get this weapon the most. Now, since we have talked about a ton of weapons, I want to talk about two main things that Fortnite has changed that they should really change back and fix. To start off with, I want to talk about the 9 damage shotgun shots, or the 6 damage, just overall shotgun shots doing literally no damage at close range fights. Occasionally, when you do have a shotgun, you will be in the middle of a fight, even point blank, and you will literally be doing hardly any damage to somebody. Now, a lot of people might be like, oh, your shot wasn't on target, or your shot is inaccurate, not all of the pellets hit him. But even when do all of the pellets hit him, sometimes you get hardly any damage onto the player. Lastly, we have the llama supply drop reduction. Now, in Fortnite, finding a supply llama is a huge reward because only a max of 3 spawn every single game, and they could spawn anywhere around the map, so most of the time, they have a chance to not even spawn in the first circle. When you find a supply llama, it should be a total reward. It used to give you 500 materials of each material, so 500 metal, 500 brick, and 500 wood, as well as a shield pot, maybe some traps, and some ammo. The Fortnite developers have reduced this to only 200 of each material, and this is insanely bad. I've gotten to the point where I found 2 llamas back to back, and it didn't even equal out to the price of 1 llama back then. And not even the llama reduction, they even reduced the amount of wood you get out of crates. Instead of 30, I believe you used to get, you only get around 20 to 10, which is ridiculous. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have, make sure to leave a like, and also subscribe if you're new to the channel. Make sure to turn on post notifications to be notified whenever I upload a brand new video or do go live. I will be trying to live stream as much as I can on Twitch, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Tonight is no one on our side who's gonna help our souls tonight. No one here to help our souls tonight. It's on me, it's on you. Who's gonna help our souls tonight?